Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Texas Mortgage Boss Podcast. My name is James J. And today we are going to talk about pre-qualification versus pre-approval. I've got my good friend on here, Lacey Lugo. We're going to discuss this. She's going to talk about some of the things that she hears from her clients as it relates to pre-approvals versus pre-qualifications. This is a very, very important topic because there's a big difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. And we're going to get into all of that right after this. Let's go. Hey, Lacey.
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm doing great. Look at you looking amazing as usual.
Well, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I felt like I should get dressed.
Well, listen, thank you for coming on. We're going to talk today about pre-qualifications versus pre-approvals because this is one of those things that sometimes people get confused about the differences. And a pre-qualification versus a pre-approval could make or break you actually getting a deal.
Absolutely.
It really can. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and maybe some of the things that you hear from your clients that may not have even gone through the process recently, or ever for that matter, whether it's first time buyer or not. But even people that have owned homes before sometimes don't really understand the differences between the two. So I want you to kind of speak on some of the things that maybe you hear, and then we can kind of talk about some of the dispel some of the confusion between the two, because again, there is a big difference. And in this market, again, it could be the difference between you getting a property and not.
Yeah.
So pre-qualification wise, like what, I guess from your perspective, what are you hearing from maybe clients or previous clients that maybe they're not 100% sure? And then I'll kind of go into the real difference because really I usually just tell people the difference is documentation.
Yeah. So I think, well, let's start with obviously the first part, which every realtor's dream is to hear, oh, I want to start looking at houses. And you're like, okay, well, have you been pre-qualified yet? And they're like, no, but I just kind of want to get out there and see what's out there on the market first. And I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Just pump the brakes really quick, because I mean, starting in that avenue is like, first off, it's very time wasting for both parties involved. And it's also not fair, I think, to the sellers too, because you get out and, I think any new realtor should know this. This is like Realtor 101, but they don't teach this for some reason. This is like a trial and error. Do not, I repeat, do not get out and start showing a client houses without a pre-qualification in hand. It will waste your time. It will waste your client's time. It'll waste the seller's time. And I think just general business etiquette, the listing agent wouldn't be very appreciative of it either.
You know what? It's like a disservice. Listen, and I know a lot of realtors that do this. Usually, if they're new, they're so eager, and so they're just gonna go. And it's like you're doing yourself a disservice. This is the way I look at it. You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing that client a disservice as well by doing it and taking them out and not knowing anything about their financial situation. And this is the thing. There are people that just like to go look at houses.
Yeah, they get excited too because I had one client whose name will not be mentioned, obviously, but it was like, oh, we want to buy a $2 million house. I'm like, okay, so are we buying cash? Are we buying mortgage? Like, how are we doing this? Have you been pre-qualified? Well, no, but we kind of just want to see what's on the market. First off, anytime you show a luxury home over, I'd say price point nowadays, 700 or higher, they're going to want documentation before they've even scheduled, because at that price point, you're looking at an accompanied showing, like in most cases. Unless you've been doing this for a while and either the listing agent and the buyer's agent kind of know each other, then it's sometimes you'll get like a courtesy etiquette showing. So, but I mean, I think the biggest, suggestion is to stop your client like immediately, like, okay, hey, take a breath. I know you're excited. I'm excited for you. I want to help you through this process. It's going to be so much fun because buying a home can be super enjoyable for a lot of people, but then for other people, it can be extremely frustrating. I do this on the regular. My team does this on the regular. And I mean, I know when I was buying my house, it was the most stressful, well, both times, the most stressful process. And I do this for a living. For some reason, it's easier to do for other people than for yourself. So, the first thing is to see, do they have a bank that they work with or a credit union that they use on the regular, or is this going to be an FHA loan or a conventional loan? What kind of price point are we looking at here? So that way you are reaching out to your subject matter specialist that can navigate you in the direction that, is probably going to be most feasible for you in your situation. So
you're right. Yeah. The price point when you're starting into that higher level, they won't even let you in most cases. The reality is, in my opinion, if I'm a seller and you haven't even gone through the process of talking to a lender, honestly, I don't even want you looking at my house.
Don't breathe on it. Don't breathe.
I mean, like, why am I wasting my time if you haven't taken the initiative to at least talk to a lender and at least get a pre-qualification? But in this market, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, a pre-qualification for approval, and you got to be able to sell this. If you're an agent, so if you're representing a buyer, and maybe you're in a competitive offer situation, because we see a ton of competitive offers right now.
Which is, that's huge right now. I mean, there are houses, I was trying to tell one of my clients just recently, like there's not a lot of inventory in this area and in the price point that you're looking for. So it's like one of those things, if you don't jump immediately, and the good thing is this particular client was paying cash. So there wasn't really there's not a contingency on us getting a loan approval. And so it moves much faster when you're paying cash, obviously, but not everybody has that luxury. So, I think pre-qualifications are great. I personally, I got my license in 2014, but I'd worked in real estate long before that for development firms. And so I think for me, I would prefer to not see a prequal. I would prefer to be through the pre-approval. I want my clients to have already submitted and been viewed by the underwriter, and there are no holdups, because I can't tell you. I mean, I've had maybe only two deals that have gotten after prequal, like to where we're getting close to clear to close. We've already done inspections. We've already done, ordered surveys, paid all of this money, and we're past our clauses to exit if we don't get clear to close. And then you lose earnest money. And that's just, it's the earnest money it's not a ton of money, but I mean, up to 1% of the contract, that's a lot of money for some people, that's 2 weeks paid,
So let's break this down, because I think this is really important for people to understand. Now, there is stuff that comes up during the mortgage process that we have no idea. So I want people to understand, as a loan officer, there's certain things that I have access to. There's certain things that an underwriter has access to. All right, underwriter has access to systems and things that I don't have access to as a loan officer. So oftentimes this comes up, get through a process, and then maybe we're 2-3 weeks into the process, underwriter finds something that I didn't know. Right? It does
that credit card they weren't supposed to take out right before closing.
Well, that is something we're going to find out, and I'm glad you brought that up, because people have this. People ask all the time, and listen, I send out multiple times as I start a loan for somebody. I send out multiple notifications to people. I actually have one that I have them print. It says do's and don'ts, and I have them physically print it and sign it, right? Because if I docu-sign it, people docu-sign stuff and they're just like, they just do it, right? They don't really pay attention to it. But one there is, hey, don't open up any new lines of credit, right? Which everybody says it, realtor says it, lender says it, and unfortunately there are people that still do it.
I've had several clients do that, and or clients that have gone through, and I hate to say this, because we work exclusively with, well, not exclusively, I'd say we work with several credit repair people that try to prepare people for this process, and they automatically say, okay, the minute we've cleaned everything and we've cleaned it up and it's better and your scores are rising, do not, I repeat, do not open any lines of credit. And the next thing you know, somebody went and got a credit card at Macy's and they've charged it to the max, and you're just like, really?
Yeah, so
you just killed the whole deal.
People don't understand. We check before you close They're gonna. I say, and it's usually the underwriter. They're gonna do a soft pull on your credit before you close. This could be 3 days, 4 days, 2 days. We're gonna do another check. So if you went and inquired, and it's frustrating because even if you did an inquiry, you went and applied for something, but didn't open up the actual new credit. Well, an inquiry is now on your credit report, right?
Mhm.
Depending on where your score is, a new inquiry could drop your score.
I don't think a lot of people know that even like a soft pull
Yes.
versus like hard pulls obviously drop the score
Yes.
more, but
Absolutely.
soft pulls still make a ding. And I think a lot of people don't realize, oh, well, I just did an inquiry. No,
No.
your
Yeah.
score just went down 2 points.
It can.
It could be 10. I don't know. It could be more than that. I'm
No,
not quite
no, you're
sure.
right. And for some people, if it's borderline, this is not everybody, but there are some people that I work with that, they're borderline. I mean, we can get it done, but you're like at the cap right now. So
Yeah,
any slight
that
change,
DTI.
yes,
Like,
absolutely. So now your scores dropped a few points, just because you went and did it's 90 days same as cash. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Especially because people get excited. They want to go purchase the furniture. Uh,
mhm.
and I just
Ahead
tell
of time
people,
so it can be delivered on closing day.
right. Yeah. And I mean, it can have a negative impact. It doesn't happen that often where it could cause somebody to not qualify, but it can. It definitely can. But people don't understand. Like we do a check before you're going to close. So
Yeah.
even if you didn't open up new credit, I now have to write a letter of explanation because the underwriter saw it, and now we've got to go back. I've got to get you to write a letter that says, "Hey, I did an inquiry, but I did not open." It's just extra work. That's all
Well,
it.
yeah, and then it pushes back, and a lot of people don't realize what you do over here affects over here on our side, because
Domino,
now
huge.
we're looking at possibly having to write an amendment, and then we're looking at, well, is the seller going to accept that amendment? And because they don't have to,
No.
and if it was
Yeah.
one of those situations where, say, you had a backup cash buyer, and they're ready to go, and you already have everything, you've already got clear title, you've already got survey, like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
like, don't make it more complicated on us, on you, on the lender. It's just it's full circle, and I don't think they realize it when they're, because it's very short-sighted, I think, when the
No
sellers
question.
are doing these things. So
Yeah. So just to clarify, so I usually just help you. So pre-qualification, you do an app, you fill out the application online, or however you do it. You say, I make 100 grand a year. Okay. We pull credit. You say you make 100 grand a year. Based on that, we're gonna say you qualify for whatever, $300,000 based on that. Okay. That's what a pre-qualification is. That's it.
mhm.
I have no documents. I haven't seen a pay stub. I haven't seen a tax return. And especially if you're self-employed.
James,
That's a
did you know
whole
I'm a
nother.
multimillionaire? I put that I'm a multimillionaire on
Right.
my approval process.
Yeah.
I haven't been through underwriting. And I've got this pre-approval, and I've told, if you're not an educated agent, and you don't have a great rapport with your lender that you're
Yes.
working with, you haven't asked the appropriate questions, you go blindly and put a contract on something based off of the he said, she said. And it doesn't just become inconvenient. It can open up an entire beehive's nest of legality and issues in the long term. And that again is what people need to understand, because not only do you put the client at risk, but the realtors put at risk as well. So
There's so much.
yeah. So
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think it's important to mention that, because if you are a new agent, if you don't have the proper training, in this, and that's why I think it's always great to, if you're a first time home buyer, to work with somebody who's kind of like niched in that market.
yeah, I'm actually glad you brought up this millionaire thing. All right, 'cause this is so critical. All right, just because you so-called are making millions, right? Because I've had this happen. You make a ton of money. Well, you write it
Right
all
off
out,
a lot of
right? Right.
money.
And people just don't think about this. Yeah, I make millions. Okay, well, what is your tax return say? Because
You grow with your net.
it's very true. If we can't document it, you can't use it.
Yeah.
That's it. If you can't document it, we can't use it. So just because you make a million, but you wrote off half a million, well, you don't make a million anymore. Now you make half a million, but you went and put an offer on a $2 million house because you think you make all this money. I've had multiple people that make tons of money, but I couldn't get them qualified for a while.
I think it's interesting. So I'm actually kind of glad that we're talking about this. So, because this is a newer niche that I'm getting into is learning how businesses are applying for properties.
Yeah.
And I think that's something like, I don't know if we want to discuss it like now, or we could discuss it on another time. But I think it's because I'm starting to see a lot of people shift from buying things personally and putting them more into like their LLCs,
right,
or into a trust or things like that. I know businesses will have their EINs, and then of course they build their DMB over time. How are you getting business loans as well for homes? I mean, is the process the same?
So
I'm not just talking like self-employed, because self-employed is kind of like its own other beast, but like business entities.
What business? Yeah. So the way it really works, it's hard to purchase or it depends on the property. Let me say that. So if you're buying a single family property and you want to put it in a business name, you really can't do it that way. The only way really we can do it has to go through personal initially. Once you close, you can then maybe put that in an LLC but when we close on it, it really we can't do do an actual loan, an FHA or conventional or a traditional Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac type loan in a business. And that's not necessarily our rule. That's really Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Now, there are probably some ways around that. We don't really do a lot of that. I do occasionally get somebody that says I want to put it in my business name. Well, unfortunately, a lot of these people, they don't have any business credit. So you can't put it in your business name when you have no business credit. But people listen. People watch TV all the time, right?
I've seen people a lot of properties, all the time. Like if it's like a property that's been put into like a trust or an LLC, like typically mostly distressed nowadays, and it's like a nightmare to try to locate the owner.
Yeah.
It's like, that person was here, but now that LLC's been closed, but it's still in that LLC's name, and now you can't locate the owner. So
yeah, there are some challenges with it, but typically, if it's we're talking Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, so conventional FHA, USDA, VA type loan, it's kind of got to go into name initially. We got to have somebody's credit to pull.
Yeah.
So I don't get a lot of that, but every now and then I get somebody that says, "Hey, I want to put a business name." Well, we don't put it in your business name. After you close, there's things that you can do. Offset liability if you've got a bunch of properties, and people always talk about the LLC, especially investors. But the pre-qualification, like I mentioned, that's really all there is to it. It's you tell me what you make, I'll pull your credit. Based on that, you're pre-qualified. You can do that online, right? People get pre-qualification online all the time, which means nothing. If I'm a listing agent and I've been a realtor, so I get it, I know. You give me a pre-qualification in this market, I'm probably not going to necessarily. I mean, I've had people that say, "Hey,
I don't particularly like them. I'm always like,
as a listing agent, yeah, even as a buyer agent.
Are we pre-approved, or was just as a prequal? Like,
and this is
and
the thing.
They think it's the same thing. So it's like they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, okay, wait, just let me talk to the lender.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing. There are certain lenders that they won't do a pre-approval, right? They don't want to bog down, because this is the thing. When you do a pre-approval, you're basically saying, "Give me all your documents. I'm going to send this to my underwriter." Right.
I think a lot of brokers do that too. Like a lot of brokers that broker out their stuff, they don't do pre-approvals. They do pre-qualifications.
And that's because it bogs down a pipeline. So you've got you're basically taking a resource, which is an underwriter. They're going to underwrite this loan, and just say the buyer never goes and buys the home, right? Something happens. So now we've taken underwriter away from something else to a pre-approval. Every lender does not do it. Now we do it. Every lender doesn't do that. They don't want to bog down an underwriter with a loan that has no contact, there's no address. So you gotta talk to the lender and know that, and there is a difference. And again, in this market, if you got a multiple offer situation, you have a buyer. Hey, this is a pre-approval. This is not a pre-qualification. So it speeds up the process for you as a buyer's agent and or listing agent, whatever the case may be, because underwriters already seen the file. All right, they've already underwritten it. We just simply need an address. And as an agent, as a buyer's agent, this is what I'm presenting to the seller. This is a pre-approval. This is not a pre-qualification. If you're competing You want to say, hey, ask those other people, is it a pre-qualification or pre-approval?
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing I think we should mention, shopping around
Yes.
ahead of time. So a lot of people don't realize that you can shop multiple lenders
Yeah.
within, I think, a 30-day period. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think
Correct.
it's 30 days,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Without
right.
it affecting your credit score.
Yes.
But I want to circle back to how MCAP does it. So basically, I would say that you guys probably close. I mean, if you had to throw out a number of percentages of loans that you close from pre-qual to actual closing,
Mhm.
I'm sure that number is fairly high because you're
It
already
is.
doing it through underwriting. And so that's something to consider when you're choosing your lender. Versus if you're going to a broker direct, they obviously, and there should be, I think, a description between what a broker is, a mortgage loan officer is, and then an actual underwriter. So, because they're not the same. I think a lot of people come together and they're like, "Oh yeah, of course, I talked to the MLO. We're good to go. Like it's going to close." I'm like, "Wait, but that's not the underwriter." Well, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Not the same thing.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up because people think I am the decision maker, and I'm like,
Nope.
listen,
You're the salesman.
I
They
am.
have the rapport with you.
Now, don't get me wrong. I've been doing this a long time, so I'm going to look at a file. This is what a loan officer's job is. It's to look at the file, to pull credit, and make sure this is a doable deal. That's number one. That's what we do. We make sure the deal is actually doable, and then we're going to look at those initial documents up front. That's what an underwriter. That's what a loan officer is supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to, because every one of them doesn't look at the documentation. They may have somebody else that does it. But if I'm putting my name on it, I actually want to look at the documentation, right? I want to look at it and see. Okay, you said you made 100 grand, but no, you really don't. You
Show
wrote
me
off.
what you made.
Yeah. So, but you are so right about this because people oftentimes they just think I am the loan officer is the end all be all. I'm like, no, guys, that's not how this works. I don't make the decision on your loan. I
I'm sure
present
that
it.
I'm sure you probably get cussed out too, like when things don't go their way. They're just like, it's your fault.
That's just the nature of being on as a loan. I'm just the nature of what we are. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm usually the person that if something's going sideways. This is the thing though. I operate differently because I was a realtor for so long, right? I
Yeah.
operate very, very differently than most loan
You have
officers.
an upper hand. You have an
I've
upper
been on
hand
that side.
in that
I
sense.
literally know everything that's supposed to happen. Aside from, I've never worked at a title company before, but I've done enough deals at this point in my life to understand what's supposed to happen. So I take control of like damn near everything. Like, see, that's just how I am because um, there's certain things I can't control, right? Processing, yes, I kind of. It's different, but I take control in the sense that I know everything that's supposed to happen from the realtor side to the lending side, and so I just like to take control of things, and I don't wait for other people to do things. Right? I just don't. I'm going to take the initiative
That's the
because I know
caveat
everything is supposed
always.
to and that's just how I operate. But again, I was a realtor for so long, so I got a different perspective. But you're so right. People think that I am the person making the decision. It's like no. We talked about this before we got on. I'm the judge. I'm not the judge. I am the lawyer. Right? I'm
Mhm.
your lawyer. My job is to take your case, i.e., your loan, and present it. The underwriter is the judge.
I'm going to keep using this as my descriptive way of describing it to the clients. I'm just be like, I'm the attorney and I'm taking it over to the judge.
I mean, you are even for you. As the agent, it's like you're in a way you're kind of the lawyer and the listing agent that sort of is
Oh yeah.
or the seller kind of sort of is the judge in a way. But
Man,
yeah, that's
I
kind of
don't
my
think
analogy.
people realize like how much like even just the listing agent and the buyer's agent are like going at it too, like
Oh
over
God.
little things from like
Oh
the
God.
survey to like title policies,
Yeah.
like a home warranty section to seller's contribution. We go back and forth. There's in
Yep.
the negotiation process, which ultimately, and that's another thing too, because pre-approvals and pre-quals, well, I'd say pre-approvals more so. Like
Uh-huh.
say your client is buying FHA and they're buying, we'll just say a $250,000 house,
Yep.
but they still need a little bit of a contribution on the contract. Some Some lenders only allow up to 2%. Some can allow more on the contribution section. These are all things that if your realtor's not discussing with your loan officer,
Yes.
and or the underwriter's discussing with the loan officer, if that lack of communication is missing, all of these things can kill a deal before
No question about it.
Yeah. It's so sad, but it happens.
So the pre-approval, just so people understand, I mean, the biggest difference is, yes, I've now documented everything that you said you made. That's really what it is.
And verified it.
And verified it. Very key. Yeah. So you said you make X amount. I've now seen tax return. And the funny thing is, even with people that are W-2, because I've had this happen too, you're a W-2 employee, but you have a side business, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. You got a side business that you're using to write off everything. So just because you're a W-2 employee, I'm a little more confident when somebody tells me they're W-2 and they say they make X amount of money. Their salary, right? For the most part, it's pretty straightforward. However, you have this side business that you've got over here, and now you're taking a loss. Well, if you're taking a loss in your business, well, that's got to come out of somewhere, right? People try to outsmart themselves, and it only comes back to bite people in the butt when they want to buy a home. That's it.
If they don't do it correctly.
Yes,
I always
absolutely.
say your biggest friend is your accountant.
Yeah, and you know what? I wish, let's say, like, for example, we're now the first part of the year, right? A lot of people are going to want to own homes this year. Okay, so we're in tax season for the next
tax season's here.
Yes.
And, a lot of people don't realize, too, the IRS is backed up with close to 7.1 million tax returns from 2019.
Right.
That haven't been filed. So, and then stack COVID on top of that, the stimulus package on top of that, they're going to be backed up for a while. And
no question.
loans, I mean, there's so much to think about that's affecting the market.
Yeah, so if someone is looking to own a home this year, all right, again, we're in tax season right now. I wish the accountants, if you're an accountant, make sure you ask your clients, do you want to own a home this year? Are you trying to buy a home in the next year or two? Because we may want to rethink what you're trying to do here. You want to write everything off. You may want to rethink that, because if you're looking to own a home, the lender's going off of what you pay taxes on. Now, there's certain things that we can add back, right? You wrote off depreciation. There's a few things that we can add back to add a little bit of income back to what you wrote off. But you really, really need to think about this, especially if you're self-employed. Right? Again, that's a whole other shit.
I would think too, like, also looking like you said, do you want to own a home this year? Look at your last 2 years. Is it something that you might need to go back and reevaluate? Like, did we do this correctly then? Do we need to revisit and see maybe we didn't do things right then, especially with, all the change. I mean, this was an unexpected change within the last year. We couldn't have anticipated it, so I think that's super important. And then also, I mean, I'm sure, are you getting a lot of 1031 exchange?
I personally don't do a lot of 1031 exchanges. It's a good time to do it, especially with the money being so inexpensive, mortgages being so inexpensive right now. So, if you're selling a property, you don't want to pay capital gains. I mean, a lot of people are going to just do it. You're going to do 1031 and switch that money.
Just toss out. Make sure you get yourself an agent who knows how 1031 works. My team does. So just
everybody is so right. Yeah, very good point. Because everybody does not know. You guys are well versed on this, but everybody does not. They kind of know. They've heard of it, but they don't really know how it works.
Yeah,
so it sounds sexy. Very important that people get some.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds sexy. Yes. Like, I'm doing a 1031 exchange, but like, guys, there are regulations that go into that. You can't just do it with anyone. So, like, with lenders, and then also with your agent, and also with title. Not everybody does 1031, so make sure you get somebody who knows what it is.
Very true. Very true. So yeah, this is again a super important topic. A lot of people are going to, especially beginning of the year, people are thinking about owning. I'm getting my phone's blowing up right now from people that I spoke with 6 months ago. Right?
Oh, congrats! That's good news.
5 months. And this year. Well, a lot of people, as crazy as last year was in 2020, and it was a very, very busy year for a lot of people. There's still a lot of people that didn't buy.
Yeah.
A lot. They put it off. Work. They were going to relocate and they didn't.
nervous,
a lot of that. And
nervous
so
about
now,
the market, nervous about
yep,
prices,
yep,
nervous about the rates,
yep.
just nervous about committing, I think. And then also not knowing, I mean, I have several, I mean, I'd say probably about 5 or 6 people that are just like, we just want to get past the election and see what
Yeah,
happens.
and
And I'm
exactly.
like,
That too. Oh, I get that one too. I mean, I get people, we're gonna wait because the race is gonna go down after the election. I'm like,
yeah,
everybody's got these theories that they either make up in their mind or they heard or they read somewhere. Wait, everybody, I hear all kinds of reasons why people are going to wait. But I mean, listen, it's like playing. It's the stock market. It's like going to Vegas. You want to wait because I get people that are going to wait until rates go down. Well, do you know something that I don't? Because
yeah.
I don't know when that's going to happen. You can try to time the market and all of this.
I think
It's gambling.
it's like you said, it's like playing in the stock market. Like you never know. I mean, I know
No,
so many people that are investing in Bitcoin, and I'm like, okay, come on, guys. Like we all know how this works.
yeah, I,
I mean, it's great
I
to be optimistic about the market and everything that's happening, but like at the end of the day, life goes on, and everybody at the end of the day needs a place to live.
no
So would you
question about it.
rather waste that money, renting, which a lot of people like that transient lifestyle. They like not committing to something, but then a lot of people want to see a return on their investment. And I think in Houston, more so than ever, you're always going to be able to see a return on any investment you make here
Agreed.
because
Yeah,
our market is so strong, even in times of recession or, struggles with, employment sectors or even in a situation like COVID.
yeah. So this year is it's going to be very interesting because again we're going to see a backlog of people that didn't do anything in 2020.
Yeah.
They're going to do something this year. They are. Um, uh, from everything I read and follow and experts and so forth, rates are going to probably stay pretty close. We're going to see a little bit of a hike here probably in this next month or so. But ultimately, I think they're going to stay relatively similar to what we had in 2020 or lower. It's a
Yeah.
possibility. So, if you need a pre-qualification, need a pre-approval, I would rerun this video and watch it again and listen because there's a difference. And then, yeah, you need an expert. Reach out to Lacey and her team because
Yeah.
there's there's a way you got to be versed on the pre-qualification and be able to sell a pre-approval to a prospective selling agent slash seller, right? And understand because sometimes they don't know the difference.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had one deal recently where we got to the very end and we had to extend a little bit longer, and they were like, "Well, how do we know that they're going to be able to close if they couldn't close on this day? Well, how can they close now?" I'm like, "Okay, we're already into the contract. Like, if you guys end up pulling out at this point, you've wasted time. Like, then you're going to have to go and wait for another. But like, come on, let's just be patient here. I mean, I know that it is what it is, but it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be fun for all the parties involved, but it'll happen. Just like you said,
Yeah,
it's super important.
yeah.
Pre-approval,
I mean,
not a prequel.
it
Pre-approval.
it, it can definitely save. And again, I know every lender does not like to do pre-approvals.
It's
They
very
they
tedious.
don't. So again, it's something that we can do, fortunately, but every lender doesn't. They don't do it. They'll do a pre-qualification, and they're going to wait until you actually get a contract because they don't want to bog down their underwriters
Yeah.
with a possible closing. Like you may or may not close. You don't know. You might close, you might not. Pre-qualification, we haven't bogged down an underwriter or used an underwriter's time at that point. But again, we fortunately for us, we have the ability to be able to do an actual pre-approval, get you a pre-approval letter. And then, and listen, this is the other thing. Sometimes time does not allow for this. This is the other thing, right? So you do a pre-qualification today, you might find a home tomorrow.
Yeah.
I get it, right? But I'm really selective about doing. I will still do a pre-qualification letter, but I mean, I understand there's situations that you may not be able to do a pre-approval. I do get people that call me. I do a pre-qualification one day, and the next day or within 2 days, they've already found a home.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna get a pre-approval that quickly. It's not gonna happen that quickly, but I'm pretty selective about if it's an employee W-2, I can get enough information to feel pretty pretty confident about giving out a pre-qualification letter. But if we can get a pre-approval, it makes a difference. It can make a difference if you're an agent that can explain it and sell it. If you're in a multiple offer, even if you're not in a multiple offer situation, I think it's a good thing to sell.
Yeah.
So, um, so all right. So, what is the best? Because listen, we're going to be you're going to be busy. Your
Yeah,
team,
I'm excited. Our pipeline's building up. We're launching. I mean, I've been so busy. It's so funny. My agents are like, I haven't been able to. I'm like, listen, I'm dealing with the tedious stuff right now, all the stuff that people don't realize I'm doing behind the scenes. But my agents are doing so well. I mean, Dylan just brought in, I think, 4 new listings. I'm so proud of him. Melanie's building her team over here, and Natalia just brought in a bunch of international business. So I'm like super proud of the team. They're doing so well. Kathy, my broker, has been God heaven sent helping me out with a lot of stuff. And we're looking for office space right now, which I think is going to be great. I'm trying to pause on that just because obviously we're still in COVID time. There's just not a need yet. So I want to make sure I pick the right space. And on the back end side, we're getting a lot of stuff handled. So it's really great. It's great to see them thriving. And they're going to be launching the website hopefully here in the next 2 weeks. And it's going to be, because we are going international. So we're going to be doing a lot of business in Latin America and Ecuador and obviously Costa Rica. We've got some listings coming along in Mexico as well. So these are going to be a lot of international destinations that we can bring to our American clientele. Yeah. Looking at some stuff over in Tijuana too. So I'm excited. I'm excited. And it's just been great to see the start to finish. And I think the collective is going to grow into a really amazing boutique brokerage here in Houston or and internationally. I'm excited. It's stressful and it feels like a lot of weight to carry, but we're going to do it. It is.
But so is not having, I'm kind of being a little facetious, but I think I saw a meme about, it's hard to be rich and make a lot of money. It's also hard to be broke.
I had a gentleman tell me, he's a big real estate guy. A lot of people know him. He's like, I've been rich and I've been broke.
Yep.
And I've just decided I prefer to be rich. And I'm like, but the circle that you can allow in your life when you reach that level too is so, I hate to quote Ariana Grande, but she's like, you got to keep a small circle to keep a thick wallet. It's actually, it's pretty funny. Go on, Ariana. But I don't know. I like to keep to myself nowadays. I only talk to, I don't think we'll grow the collective. I mean, I say this, I'm probably going to eat my words in about a year. No, we won't be more than 20 agents, right? A boutique brokerage, 20 really amazing people who just want to work. And, we're bringing on builders and all kinds. I mean, I laugh because I'm like, if you had asked me a year ago, hey, are you going to own a brokerage? I'm going to be like, no, I don't want that. And yet here we are.
Yeah.
And I have my hands forced. So it's whatever, let's do it.
Roll with it. You're a great leader though. You've got the energy, you've got the knowledge. And this is the thing, everybody can't do what you do. There's a lot of people that can sell crazy real estate, right? Sell their great stuff, but they don't know how to show other people how to succeed.
It's funny that you say that. One of my mentors, she actually mentioned that to me. She's like, people will not understand what you're trying to build. Yeah. She's like, and that's okay. She's like, because you're not for everybody.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
It made 100%. Sense to me. She said that. I was like, people they're not going to understand what I'm doing, and they're not going to, I call it, everybody knows about the evil eye. So I'm like,
Yeah, well, I just saw something. So, Texas, we are, although I know you guys are international. So the funny thing is you got a lot of international, you got a lot of people outside of Texas that are moving to Texas. So we are number 2 on the, according to U-Haul. I just read this a couple days ago. So Texas is number 2.
That article, I want to see that.
Yeah, I will send it to you because it's very, very, encouraging. I think we kind of knew, Texas is usually in that top tier of places
Yeah.
to move to. But so Florida was number one. Excuse me, back it up. No, no, no. Florida was not number one. Tennessee was number one.
Really?
Tennessee is number one. Texas is number two. And then Florida is actually number three.
Yeah.
So for us in Texas, listen, we got a lot of opportunity coming up in 2021. We do. So for you and your team, you guys, and the fact that you're taking this internationally is just great because there's a lot of stuff outside of as much as we love Texas. There's a lot of stuff in the United States. There's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff outside of the country
we're
and
actually not
opportunity.
just international too. We have some partnerships in Florida. We have some partnerships in Arizona. We've
Right,
got,
right,
California. So we're kind of like all over the
all
place.
over.
And
Yeah,
then if I don't have an agent in that market that's with us, then we always find someone. So,
yeah,
we can just think of us as your one-stop shop for, residential, commercial, you need 5 investors, you need a jet, we can help you out with that. Like, what do you need?
yes, you
Business
can.
development. So
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have a really good. I'm claiming it now. We're already third week of January. Just like that, we're gonna be done with January. So, you
no.
guys are gonna have a great year. If you're in real estate, like I said, fortunately for us in Texas, this is a good place to be. It's always been for years. We've always kind of been at that top, probably top five places to live. When these lists come out, but this year is going to be for us. So I'm excited for you and your team as well. So,
Thank you.
so give me the best way. What's the best way for people to reach out to you? Give me your phone number.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. So obviously, our Instagram is at the Collective RE Group. So
yep,
you got it. And then you can always reach me on my cell, and text is preferable since my phone rings all day long.
yes,
It's just 832-535-9489. I'm on WhatsApp. The company is on WhatsApp.
got it.
Of course, we have Facebook, and then, of course, our website too, which is just www.thecollective-regroup.com. And like I said, we're getting ready to relaunch that, so it'll be more appealing on an international level. That's going to integrate with our CRM. So there's so many great things coming, and I'm excited to share all of that with you. And then, of course, we're still hiring. I'm launching my new agent program, which will bring new realtors in and teach them how to take their skill set and mentor them into building their client base and their sales pipeline. So there's so many great things coming this year.
Well, again, thank you because you are someone can actually knows how to convey the knowledge to other people. And there's just a way. I just did a video, and I'm gonna let you go after this because it's so important because you are a complete reflection of this. I work with some really 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 cool people, and there's some people that just
You're cool, James.
uh, I guess I'll take it. I accept that. But people there's people that they just do their job right.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily great to a pleasant person to be. They just do their job. They just do their job. And you got people that do their job and they're actually really, really pleasant to work with. And you need both. I really think you need both. There are some people that are not, necessarily personable, but they do a really good job.
I've
Uh,
worked with those agents
and, and again,
and lenders.
I just prefer to. I like people that do their job really well and they're really really personal and you're like that. I mean you're
Oh,
just
thank you.
you're that person. And I
Thank you.
literally just did a video about this like a few days ago because I unfortunately for I work with some really cool people as well at my company that are the same way, right? They can just do their job um and be done with it, but they're actually really really cool to work with. So you are the same way. You
Thank you.
guys are going to you're really going to have a really great year. And if there's anything I can help you with, I'm here. Um, we go back, so way
Yeah, we
before
should go
all of
back.
this stuff, we knew each other.
Yeah,
So
James sold me my house.
yes, so if anything I can help you and your team with, we will do it. We're going to do this again. I'm going to continue to come on, have you talk. We're just going to talk about things that we can help people with. But
Yeah.
this pre-qualification pre-approval thing was very important.
Yes.
Um, for people to understand the difference. And again, if you guys are looking for realtor, international, 1031, reach out to Lacey.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Pleasure
you.
to work with and be around. So I appreciate you. And make sure you guys also go subscribe to the podcast. All right. So we've got the YouTube channel. I've also got a podcast on Spotify. Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Radio, you name it, we're there. So
Oh,
make sure
you're out there. Out
we're
there.
everywhere, Lacey.
Oh,
We're
please go
everywhere.
subscribe to our YouTube channel as well for the collective. We would love
Yes.
to show you guys our videos that we're putting up.
Yeah, so yes, go check out Lacey and her team as well on YouTube and follow her Facebook, IG at the Collective Group, and then your Facebook, excuse me, your IG is it so
Mine
Lacey?
is just at list with Lacey,
Got it.
LACIE _ HTX. So
Yes, so go check Lacey out, follow her, and if y'all have questions, reach out to her. You can also reach out to me as well, and we will do this again, Lacey. We're going to continue to come on. I appreciate talking with you anytime we talk real estate. We'll do this again soon. So you guys have a great day. We'll catch up with you soon.
all right.